Kaminsky, Bucky good in the ball!
Mantel all the way to the basket, foul, lays it in for two!
Happy Monday, Upstate Hoops fans. Welcome into the Upstate Hoops podcast here on FairLakes1.com, live from the third floor of the North Park building in Seneca Falls, New York. I am Paul Russo, joined as always by Jim Sinicropi, Kyle Evans, and Nate Sharman. Boys, happy Monday. Oh, it's officially February now. I apologize for last week.
February's almost over. It is. What, we got 21 days?
It's a fair point, yeah.
21, 22 days?
27, whatever days, yeah. Kind of nuts. But either way, more importantly, talking about almost over here, is the fact that the Wayne Finger Lakes regular season, only really a handful of games left for every team so far. Kind of crazy. We're at about that 10-day window now the rest of the way, and we're pretty much it. Pretty much over.
Every league is up for grabs except for Wayne County boys.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy to think about when you really look at it. But a lot to get to. A couple games to recap. We'll do our deep dive into the sectional standings as they stand right now. Talk about our updated power rankings. And, of course, look ahead at the week and where we will be at broadcasting this week. 3 games this week, so we'll tease that up a little bit.
Of course, busy week for FL1 Sports.
Yes, it is.
3 games this week, you guys?
3 games.
Nice.
3 games. So, as always, appreciate our sponsors, DeSanto Propane, Generations Bank, and Lil John and Barbie Orthodontics. You'll hear from each of them shortly, and we'll jump right into our game recaps. Those are brought to you by DeSanto Propane. DeSanto Propane, 4 generations strong, is a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. You can go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more information, or call them toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane. So we'll begin on the boys' side of things, where we had our lone game broadcast last week in Waterloo, where the Tigers defeated the Marcus Whitman Wildcats 50-46. It was a really good game to be at. Kind of was doubled up with Geneva and Newark, and this game ended up being the closer of the affair out of the two in the Finger Lakes East that night.
Yeah, I thought Whitman was going to come back and win that game. They were down 12 at half, but Waterloo hung on at the end. There's some fireworks, technical foul, I believe, and how was that?
Yeah, Mulvey Salerno.
And and it was a huge win for Waterloo because now they have 3 they remain with 3 league losses along with Wayne, Newark, and in the Finger Lakes East there. Who's got 2 losses?
Palmac?
Yeah, Newark and Palmac tied with 2 losses. Waterloo and Wayne with 3 losses. So if Waterloo had lost that game to Whitman, they would have completely dropped out of. So this week we got Newark, Waterloo playing the same night tonight, along with Palmac and Wayne.
Newark, Waterloo is Wednesday or Thursday, right?
Week,
But those are the top 4 teams in the Finger Lakes East right now, separated by 1 game, with Newark and Palmac holding that 1-game edge.
Yeah. So leading the way scoring-wise, we'll start with Marcus Whitman. I do want to highlight, they're all young guys here in this sense. Brody Royston had 11, Miles Prendergrass had 10, Logan Storms 9, but key thing with all of them, they're all young guys, and that's a young group that Coach O'Connor has in the Wildcats, and they, for one, play tough, but 2, I don't know if I'd really want to play them moving forward. They're tough out anyway, and Coach O'Connor, credit to him, went into halftime, clearly drew up some stuff, and it worked out in their favor, almost like you said, Jim, down by 12 at half, and almost came back and won it.
Prendergrass fouled out early in that fourth quarter, too, so if he's around,
yeah, there seemed to be a lot of
that
foul
makes a
trouble.
difference.
Yeah, they had a couple. They had a senior, Groton, who was also in foul trouble there, fouled out closer to the end of the game.
Yeah, it's a typical Greg O'Connor coach team. They look just like teams that these guys' older brothers were on, Prendergrass, Royston. They just aren't quite developed yet to the point, but probably really good things on tap for that program over the next couple of years. Maybe another sectional title.
I wouldn't be surprised. I can tell you that much.
And just for Waterloo, again, they're right there in the Finger Lakes East contention. They're going to be in contention for a B1 title. They go back even, 1972 maybe
72.
for a sectional title.
72.
They came close a couple years ago, playing Geneva on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. in a great game that they lost. But, they got a shot this year.
Yeah, Nolan Sluka led the way with 23 for them. Connor McCann had 10, and Devin Mulvey-Slern had 5. Really ended up becoming, the second half was pretty much the Nolan Sluka show for Waterloo. And in the games that we've been at, he has been a contributor. This was really the first main stage he kind of took with us being there, I'd say. And
Yeah, alley-oop dunk in the second quarter, two-handed dunk
sweet.
also in the
Yeah.
second quarter. Yeah.
I mean, the thing with that it always surprises me. I mean, when we see dunks usually in high school, usually the one-hand slam type thing because they're on the rim. He was two-handing them. That's something that you don't
Two hands for
see.
safety.
Well, you don't see that all too often in high school because it's obviously the harder of the two to accomplish, certainly. So, but good game there, obviously. On the girls' side, the game that we had circled involving the Finger Lakes West standings was Marcus Whitman and Bloomfield at the end of the week. Bloomfield come away with the victory there, 45-32. Or the Wildcats, Natalie Cotrino had 9, Lily Carroll 9, and Aurora Woodworth had 8 for Marcus Whitman. Kayla McCombs led the way for Bloomfield at 16, and then Lily Bogman and Allison Bogman had 12 each. So big game there in the standings we were talking about, and that certainly keeps Bloomfield at least in pace with the teams at the top.
Dundee, Bradford, Bloomfield, one loss each, two-team race there. In the West, and then the boy. Yeah, okay. I sometimes
They
got
got
to
to play one more time, right? Dundee, Bradford, Bloomfield.
No, I think they've played twice already.
Oh, they did?
I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, I think they split, right?
Yes.
And so, Whitman, same thing is on the boys. They're a young team. Natalie Contraneo is going to be great in the future for Coach Royston. And I think brighter days ahead for Marcus Whitman. Bloomfield, surprisingly, pretty dominant in league this year, along with Dundee Bradford. A team to watch in the postseason as we look through these sectional standings.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously, that's one of the rare games that got played on Friday. We talked about it a little bit last week, or might have been 2 weeks ago, rather, where we talked about we hadn't had that late season / mid-season snowstorm to wreak havoc on games, and lo and behold, last Friday night ended up being the case a little bit more than even I think was planned. And that's why, Jimmy mentioned it was more on the boys' side with those Finger Lakes East games. They're kind of spread out through this next week or so because they got to get them in.
A lot tonight. Unusually busy Monday night of high school basketball tonight in the Wayne Finger Lakes. Some great games.
Big Monday.
Yeah.
Yep, Big Monday we'll call it. Sure.
So, without further ado, not to think too much, let's head over and discuss some sectional standings. We'll start with the boys.
Yeah, this is great. First time we're taking a close look at this. Maybe the first time that some of our viewers here are taking a close look at this and seeing how things are going to stand, shaping up for postseason seedings, which teams are looking good for sectional titles, and who can improve their seed over the next 10 days.
Yeah. So we'll start in A2. Lone Finger Lakes East team there is Wayne, currently seeded 3. 32 points for them. Actually, they technically would be tied in the outright. Actually, they are outright tied. How about that? Didn't really realize that when I pulled up the standings earlier, but tied with Sutherland. But lone A2 school in the Finger Lakes East, pretty much amongst all of Monroe County teams and some Rochester City teams.
Yeah, no, that's really always tough for Wayne. I think they slid down into B1 for a single year. Now they're back up in A2. And obviously coming in ranked 3rd, right now, how they do against Palmac this week. And, they could fall, it looks like they could fall, down to 5 or 6 or potentially rise up to 2, but at the end of the day, A2 is tough. You got to play teams like East High and Monroe, Pittsford Sutherland. It's always tough. That's what makes their back-to-back sectional titles a few years ago so impressive. And they're going to give it a go one game at a time. So a little young. Blankenberg's young. So I'd expect to see him in contention the next few years here. Bill Thompson does a good job.
Yeah, I mean, not to spend too much time on this, but you mentioned a couple of teams that fall into our overall coverage area, like Canandaigua and Victor played. A lot of these teams that we see in A2, and one of the things I always notice is the fact that one night it might be Sutherland, one night it might be Mendon, one night it might be East. It seems like, and not to say it's like they all beat up on each other, but you go into some of these games and so not to say it's a toss-up, but I mean really any of them just because the talent pool for each is
Yeah, I misspoke.
fairly equal.
I
in a way.
misspoke too. They're not going to gain. They're not going to be any
No, I
higher
mean,
than
that's a
three.
big gap.
They could drop. They're right now tied, like you said, with Pittsburgh Sutherland. So,
But if anything, if there's a positive for them, there's a pretty clear gap in A2 in terms of once you get past, Pittsburgh, Mendon, and Wilson's in the 6, but they're negative 26 at their cumulative. So,
Yep. So they could be, and Wayne could end up anywhere third through fifth.
yeah, and at least get one home game out of that at least. So, let's head over to B2, which is or B1.
B1. This is
rather.
a big
Yeah.
one. This is
Yeah.
my favorite. Look at this one.
Which is where we find pretty much most of our Finger Lakes East teams. Technically one Finger Lakes West team as well, with Mid Lakes in there. But this always tends to be, too, in my opinion, typically one of the tougher, if not the toughest, sectional bracket year in, year out. Just based on, the teams see each other a ton, obviously.
Well, Bishop Kearney being in there isn't helping anybody.
No.
They're usually not. They're usually up in A, but for whatever reason this year they're down here in B1 with an 11-4 record against playing a tough schedule. But surprisingly, Newark's at the number 1 spot right now, which that makes this week's game against Waterloo important, and also important for Waterloo. You see they're in 5th. You see they don't want to drop out of the top half of this. It's going to be a 12-team class here, 12-team tournament, but. Yeah, but Bishop Kearney's tough. Batavia's tough. We're gonna see how the Finger Lakes East teams like Palmac and Newark can hold up. As we go into the postseason. And then you got Geneva, a little bit disappointed, 8-7 down there in 7th. Yeah, that's we saw Geneva play tough against some Finger Lakes East teams this year, lay an egg against some Finger Lakes East teams this year. So. I don't know. They haven't really improved as much as I hoped since day one under Coach Collins, but still time to right the ship. But this will be a great tournament, and hoping to see at least 2, hopefully 3 Finger Lakes East teams in the semifinals.
Mm-hmm. Kyle, anything on the B1 side of things over there?
My biggest takeaway is we talk a lot about Newark and how they've had some of their scoring issues, and then you look and you see them number 1. That's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
Especially like you said, you have Bishop Kearney in there. You figure they'd probably be leading the way, and that can change, right? But right now, seeing Newark at number 1 is kind of a little surprising to me.
Yeah, Newark's won a lot of games this year, but they've been less than impressive, I think. Overall, so it was surprising to see him number 1. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to remember any of this stuff if they go into sectionals and come out with a sectional block. So they're sitting good at a good spot to be number 1 with 10 days to go in the regular season.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to a saying that I have is I'd be in control of your own destiny. You don't want to be. You don't want to be the ones kind of hoping for something out of your control to happen. So, B2 now. We head over there, and there's only 3 teams in the Wayne Finger Lakes over there. 2 in the East and 1 in Wayne County, being North Rose Wolcott.
Yeah,
there.
sadly, this probably is not going to be too exciting for Wayne Finger Lakes fans this year. Penyans have been disappointing. Minders has been extremely disappointing. North Rose Wolcott just getting hammered in the Wayne County League. But you step out of the league and you hope, and I've seen it before, where the Finger Lakes East has been a little tougher than some of the other leagues of teams in here in B2, and so, but Myers going to have to go on the road day 1,
right.
And where would that be? Let's see, it's a 12-team field. They're 9 right now, so that would put them in the
Leroy.
Going to Leroy, so that's not much fun, right?
Or Leroy, maybe. Excuse me.
Leroy, Wellsville, Dansville,
And
those are all long rides.
I was going to bring up Dansville here quick for a second, as well as Hornell in a way. I looking back as an example to Friday when the games got canceled, there were still a couple games when one of them happened to be a Battle of Livingston County teams. I had to get a hotel in Geneseo because I was on the road. And
Yeah, I'm not sure why you didn't stop into that one, Paul.
well, that would have been a continuation down 390 that I don't think my sedan would have been able to accomplish. So And while the game's still going on, happened to be Avon down in Dansville, and that was a great game.
Yep.
Avon, who was in C1, going to Dansville in B2, and both those teams played tough anyway against each other. And to bring that up a little bit, it's going to be tough sledding. You have to go down on the road to one of those Livingston County schools, for example, and take them on.
Yeah, and that's where this Class B2 is going to go through. Hornell, Dansville, Wellsville, Leroy, maybe. Certainly not going to be seeing any home games in B2 up here in the Finger Lakes, the north central Finger Lakes at least. Nobody's coming to Penny and Reminders or North Rose.
No. Unless they, I don't know, not even for those pre-quarters, as they call them now, I think. So.
But things interesting in the C classes.
Yeah, C1 is where we'll start there, and that's where you have a pretty good combo, mostly of Wayne County and is that all? Yeah, it's pretty much Wayne County plus Whitman, so, and a West team in Bloomfield. But East Rochester, Sodus, Marcus Whitman, Bloomfield, and Williamson in C1, and that's, where start having many of those schools, as you mentioned, Jim, in there.
Hey, look at North Star Christian way down there in C1 now. Boy, they really bounce around, don't they?
Might as well bring up as well, you see Rochester Academy Charter in there as well,
Yeah.
and at the top. But
The private schools just move all over the place every year, and this competition committee's guessing how good they'll be. It's just not really a fair way to do it. I've seen a lot of local public schools have their dreams dashed by a misplaced private school, and certainly in B1 and C1, that's a possibility that could happen again this year. But also, Marcus Whitman could be a dark horse here, coming in the 7th seed, playing in a tough Finger Lakes East as a C1 school, playing bigger schools all season long, able to kind of hang on to that 7th seed and a chance to get up into the top half of the bracket with a strong finish to the season. They're only 1 point behind Sodus.
That's my surprise, being 6.
Sodus being 6, yeah. They've had a better than usual season. They come in at 9-7. Again, they pick up a lot of points, though, Kyle, beating up on the bottom half of the Wayne County League.
That's true. They were in a close game with Clyde, a 2-point game, and Clyde is not good at all this year.
Right. So it's tough to gauge, but I think Whitman's got a shot. Maybe to get to the Blue Cross. They'd have their hands full once they got there, but and then you got to look at East Rochester up there. A similar thing, picking up a lot of wins in their league, but haven't really shown the ability to beat someone who might be on par with Avon or Geneseo during the regular season.
That's the interesting part, though, about that is the fact that East Rochester has seen not only Geneseo, but also Rochester Academy Charter this regular season in the holiday tournament that they hosted, though. So,
yeah,
nice you got
they
your
lost, though, right?
Correct, but at least you got your own outright tape on them, and
Yep.
you can really plan accordingly, I'd say, for a one-game sample size like that, should you come upon them.
Yeah, we'll see how many of these Finger Lakes teams, mostly Wayne County and Marcus Whitman in C1, advance to into the quarterfinals and maybe semifinals.
Mm-hmm. C2, kind of similar to B2 in nature. Not a ton of schools here, but we got a couple. Red Creek, Gananda, and Clyde Savannah all out of Wayne County there. The highest, Red Creek at the 5th seed after a rough-ish couple of weeks for them, but they're still hanging tough.
They had some kids out.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why. Hopefully they'll be at full strength for the stretch run here. They got a 6'7" kid that's always going to be a lot to handle. York, always tough. Oakfield, Alabama, tough.
I'll say Pembroke. I remember they always are good. I mean, obviously the record indicates it anyway this year.
16-1.
But I remember they were always a name to remember the past decade or so, give or take.
Yeah, so, Gananda, who knows, but maybe Red Creek. But, man, if we're making reservations for the Blue Cross and the boys' side of things, it could be a shutout this year. Our best chances so far are in B1.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would be not smart money on seeing it in B2 or C1 or C2. C3 probably a good bet, though.
Yeah, let's head to C3 right now, because that's where we also have a number of Wayne Finger Lakes teams. leading off with Lions at the top, but South Seneca in the West at 3 right now there.
Yeah, really good season they put together. Nice to see them merge with Romulus. It brought Romulus out of the D classes, and obviously much better combined. Mikey Kaufman from Romulus being the big addition, and yeah, that's great. They're a 3rd seed. My gut tells me that they're not in the same class as Byron Burgeon or Lions or maybe even Warsaw or Cuba, but that's why they play the games, right?
100%.
But this is obviously Lions heavy favorites, heavy favorites. But the Byron Burgeon Bees could pull an upset.
Well, to say Kyle's Byron Burgeon Bees laying in the wings there a little bit.
I do agree. They could definitely, I think, give them a little tough fight there.
Yeah, what's your take, Kyle? If they played this tournament 10 times, how many times would Lions win it?
Probably 9 out of 10, maybe 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, so heavy favorites, but seen it before. I've seen, Lions squeaked out a few of those sectional titles recently against Perry.
Isn't Perry usually better than what they are this year?
Yeah, it looks like they're down. I haven't followed.
Yeah, Perry's up in C2.
Yeah, they were 8 and
Yeah,
9.
they're-
Sorry, I was
C2.
looking at my wrong sheet.
They're 8 and 9 in C2, just ahead of Gananda at 7 and behind Red Creek. But yes, this is Lions tournament to win, as it is most years, whatever class they're in. They're not getting stung by that private school. You see C.G. Finney in there, but who is still, I'm sure, not going to be an easy out at 9 and 8. They play a really tough schedule, so that could be a dark horse in the 9 seed, but certainly set up nicely for Lions. We'll see who they play when they get there, whether it is a South Seneca or a Red Jacket. Red Jacket would be a rematch of a few years ago in the Blue Cross. Dundee Bradford boys, can't count them out either. So, but certainly Lions class to win.
Then one more on the boys' side to cover is in D1. There are a few teams there. HAC, Honeoye, and Naples. And normally, like you said, normally got usually a couple more hanging out in the Ds. But that's pretty much it. But in D1, it's actually up front a team that might be in Nate's in Avoca Prattsburgh. They're kind of still up at the top, kind of handling business there. And everybody else certainly trailing behind by a pretty good amount.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, they got blown out at Lions when we took a look at them, but obviously still one of those 2 losses was at Lions. Batavia Notre Dame having a nice season, Fillmore, but then you get some of our local teams in HAC and Honeoye. Naples way down there at 8, but I don't think Honeoye or HAC is in the class of Olga Prattsburgh or Batavia Notre Dame, but they should be looking at home games, hopefully, to open up and then advance on, and then you get there, it's a 1-game scenario. So I'd like to see HAC and Honeoye finish their season strong to gain some momentum going into this D1 tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we got a couple more games left to kind of outright decide for each other and figure each other out a little bit there.
Naples have to go to Batavia Notre Dame if this holds Pratt. That's a pretty long drive, huh?
Well, no, not necessarily
I guess
true.
not.
The top 2, I believe, have what they would call buys, even though it's really not buys. I mean, it'd be 7 versus 10 and 8 versus 9 as a play-in type deal, I believe, is how they usually have it structured. So
Either way, my bold prediction is Naples is one and done in the D1 tournament.
yeah.
They haven't had really good teams there in a few years. When they had one of the best Naples teams I've seen in a while. They had probably 2015, but it's been
Hey,
a
at
while.
least they're not winless like
true.
the one at the bottom.
Lindenville?
Yeah.
So yeah, those will be great tournaments. Like I said, I think heading into the season, looking at it, we weren't feeling super strong about a great year for the Wayne Finger Lakes. I think those standings are kind of reflecting that, but there is opportunities there for some sectional title runs and hopefully see some of these teams in the Blue Cross. Now on the girls' side of things, I think there's a few. It's a little bit more positive. Of course, they don't go to the Blue Cross; they go to Rush Henrietta.
Rush or Gates or whoever
Yep.
decides to step on the plate there. Starting the A with Wayne. They are down in the bottom half at 13th. So big stretch there if they plan on making a
Yeah,
run.
and Canada with 3.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Canada, congratulations to Maya Herman, 1,000th point for her last Friday night.
It's always a great accomplishment for any high school player, so congratulations to her. It hasn't been done many times in Canada with school history.
I think she was, the second maybe, second or third. Can't remember, top of my head anyway.
But we'll see if the Braves can make some noise in Class A.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Sutherland's got a pretty good foothold, and the scoring that in girls is a little bit different. They don't fall into the negatives if you lose and lose points. You just gain, and
Which I like.
Yeah.
I like that, actually.
Yeah. And
It's a double whammy on the
Right.
boys, especially if you're playing up or down a classification.
Yeah.
It's even worse. I would like to see them do it like the girls do it, and that way you're risking a little less by playing a team that's up. So, for instance, if you're Lions and you want to, or you're Newark and you want to play Lions. So, anyways,
yeah, Canada they fall into the 3 seed. They're technically tied at 2 with HFL, who's always had a very competitive girls program, and I mean Sutherland, as I said, they kind of got the big foothold there in A. So,
but B1 for the
B1.
Finger Lakes East flavor here. This is a good one.
Once again, this one we see some familiar names crossing over here. Waterloo at the top, Palmac right behind them, Mid-Lakes, Newark together at 5 and 6. And then you got Geneva down there as well at 10. So, and North Rose Wolcott, by the way, at 8 in Wayne County. But
I'm surprised there's a team below Geneva.
So, yeah, Batavia, that's really strange. Batavia, I used to seeing Batavia down there at the bottom like that.
Oh,
And another
17.
winless team, too.
Yeah. Tough, long
Interesting.
winter. But obviously, our first and second place team are tied for first in the Finger Lakes East girls. Waterloo and Pelmac right now, 1 loss each. They split. That's their 1 league loss. And 1 and 2 in B1 standings. Hopefully, a preview of a sectional final. I know we'd love to see a rubber match of that one. And then you look at Mid-Lakes.
Sign me up.
Yes, that would be one that we will definitely be at if it transpires. Mid-Lakes, a little surprisingly off a little bit this year. I thought they would be a little better. I didn't know if they were in the class of Pelmac or Waterloo, but still hanging in there at 5. And then it's good to see Newark in the upper half of that, or working towards the upper half of the bracket. They're actually not. They're right there.
They're the true middle ground.
Yeah. That program is on the rise, and after several years of really being a non-factor, they might be able to make some noise in B1 this year. Got a young girl, 8th grader, Natalie, who is a really strong defender, and I think that program's moving in the right direction. I don't know if it'll be this year, but we might be here next year previewing sectionals and seeing them, as high as a 2, 3, or 4 seed.
I think no matter what, though, I wouldn't want to face. And maybe this speaks more volumes about kind of maybe overall, but I don't know if I'd want to face some of those mid-seed-ish type teams anyway, because you never know. They're good, obviously, right? They're good enough, and we expect some stuff out of them that, if they get on a run, and like I say, these are like the 1-game sample sizes, like in sectional time.
Yeah, I think
You
maybe
never
so.
know.
I just don't see Waterloo or Pelmac.
I don't necessarily disagree there, but if you're say like an Aquinas or a Livonia and you come upon Mid-Lakes, I don't know if when they get going sometimes, I don't know if I want to face them. But,
Yeah, I agree. I think there is a little gap between Mid-Lakes and Newark. I think I wouldn't be concerned about Livonia or Aquinas handling Newark, but maybe Mid-Lakes.
All right, let's head over to B2, which features Minders and Penyan, and also the combined Williamson-Marion squad out of Wayne County. But Minders kind of leading the pack out of the 3, up at 2, only trailing Dansville.
This is
in
the thing
standings.
with the Minders Academy girls basketball program. Tough league, get to postseason. They find themselves in B2. It's great with some of the lumps they've been taking in the league. Although they've handled business, they just have lost to all the top teams. So they lost twice to Mid-Lakes, which imagine where Mid-Lakes would be if they didn't pull off those 2 wins.
They played tough in Palmac when I was at that game too. The Blue Devils.
And but again lost,
well.
and then Waterloo lost. But they find themselves as 2 seed, which means they'll be home in Seneca Falls. And outside of Dansville, I don't see a game on here that I wouldn't favor them. So they're not in our power rank, or maybe they are. I don't know if they made our power rankings this week. We'll find out. But they've been traditionally at the bottom half or even out of our power rankings. But here they are, 2 seed in B2. at 10-5. So time will tell.
Yeah. I mean, that's another point, too. I mean, we talk about the competition, right, being a little bit better typically in league for the B2 schools, no matter
At
boys
least
or
our
girls,
east,
so,
at least in the east, Finger Lakes East, yeah, that holds true for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Miners did have a good week. I mean, it's tough to call last week a good week when most teams only had one game, but, you take, especially this time of year, right, you just got to take the positives as a positive and not really question it, in my mind anyway.
Yep, I think they got Geneva tonight, right? So that'll be a win. And the other thing about that is you'll see Minders win that game, but you won't see them totally embarrass Geneva the way that some other teams have this year.
Like the Lions boys against Sodas.
Yeah, I mean,
79-point win.
It's crazy. I mean, you got to back off a little bit, I think, when you're totally overmatched. Although, like we said, Sodas should play a little better. Like we're talking about them earlier, is having a shot in their class. But Geneva's girls program, is really rebuilding and really young, and they really struggle. And I think that a lot of teams in the Finger Lakes East could maybe win by 100 against them if they wanted to. And some teams have, I think, tried. So, but Minders won't do that.
Let's head to C1 in the girls, because I'm going to classify this, in my opinion, as potentially the most competitive class that we've seen so far.
And 16 teams.
Because I want to begin at number 11, Marcus Whitman, who's 13-4 in the 11th seed.
Yeah, this one truly is wide open, other than the fact that Canisteo Greenwood looks tough. Oakfield, Alabama, Geneseo, all tough teams. But the Gananda girls have risen right up these standings, riding now what I think is a 13-game winning streak. 12-game winning streak? 12-game winning streak.
12 or 11.
Yeah, either way, they're moved right up there to third seed. The Clyde Savannah girls, obviously super strong. I think they have a really tough. I think they got Gananda, East Rochester, and Lions in 3 of their last 4 games.
Yeah, so they could drop down if they don't win those games.
Yeah, and really it'll be a good postseason test for them, that stretch, and see if they can come out of there winning 2 of the 3 or 3 of the 3. I think that would make them feel pretty good heading into this Class C1 tournament. But then you got Bloomfield down there. They're at the top of the Finger Lakes West right now with 1 league loss, coming in as an 8 seed. East Rochester, one of the teams that we thought
defending champions, by the way.
Defending champ and our preseason favorites to win Wayne County, way down there in 9 seed. They might have to. They would be playing Bloomfield if it ended here. This is a 16-team bracket. That would be an 8-9 game. Yeah. East Rochester would go to Bloomfield. And
they played each other a couple weeks ago. Yeah. East Rochester won, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think by double digits.
Yeah, pretty handily, so that doesn't bode well for them or Marcus Whitman. It really, from what I've seen in the cross-league games featuring Wayne County girls, is the Wayne County girls league has proven to be much stronger than the West, and we even had Gananda beating Minders in the East. And they'll play again, too. Minders goes to Gananda for their final game of the regular season. So
that would be a fun hypothetical. I just realized matchup potentially Clyde, Savannah hosting Marcus Whitman, opening sectional round potentially there, if they held, obviously.
Right, yeah. A lot could change, but this could be fun.
Yeah.
A lot of contenders in C1 for sure.
Head over to C2, a few teams over there. Lions and Dundee Bradford in the top 5 of the standings there. Lions at 2, Dundee Bradford at 4. Then Red Jacket also coming in down closer to the bottom. But, the Lions, Lady Lions, and like you mentioned, big week coming up for them as well here.
I can't believe they got swept, though, by Gananda. That kind of surprised me. I thought they would at least split. I know Gananda's very good, but I thought they would split.
Yeah, they kind of came out of nowhere. It's been a strange year in Wayne County. Lions with big wins against Clyde and East Rochester, and then swept by Gananda. Lions now, I think, has both ER and Clyde left on their schedule, so a little bit to sort out. But Lions girls have been right knocking on the door recently. It's going to have a shot this year at a sectional title on the girls' side, as does Dundee Bradford, who I think might be one of the sleepers at 4 seed, coming in at 15-2.
Yeah. It's interesting to kind of see, really, I guess, how C1 and really, obviously, in girls, there's no C3. It's just the 2 Cs. They combine them up a little bit, but kind of how I'd say kind of closely related. I mean, obviously C2, it's a little bit more, I'd say, of the gaps you kind of see compared to C1, but I'm right there with you. I mean, that's a Dundee Bradford team that, personally I'm a bit high on probably, but, look, you just go out and you play and you win. They're 15-2 for a reason, right?
Yep.
So can only do so much in terms of who you see, I suppose, in that sense. But D1, only a couple more to go here for the girls. D1.
Well, this is a big one, though. If you're a South Seneca fan, there is a program that has won been to the state championship, Final Fours, won plenty of sectional titles, and they've been down the past couple years trying to bring another one back to the south end of Seneca County. Unlike the boys, they aren't combined with the girls, so you'll see Romulus and D2 way down at the bottom. It would have been nice, I think, if maybe they could have combined those girls programs too, like they did on the boys side. But Romulus, again, really proud girls program as well, state champions in 2014, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So you don't like to lose that history, I suppose, by combining with what would be their biggest rivals, but I think it's made for a better, more competitive situation on the boys' side. But the girls are holding their own here. They're one game clear in the Finger Lakes West and 4th seed in D1.
And the main thing with South Seneca on the girls' side here, I've noticed anyway, they're getting hot at the right time. They've been playing some good basketball lately.
Yep.
And, I mean, when you look at in terms of postseason, right, this is the time of year that if you're going to catch fire, it's the time to do it.
Yep, so definitely keep an eye on South Seneca in D1. Probably our only shot. HAC, Honeoye, Naples down there at the bottom. Probably don't have the firepower this year.
The last teams you mentioned, Jim, we got one team in D2, Romulus, there towards the bottom there. But, again, interesting. Obviously, we'll see all the time here with the private schools, and you got a block of them leading the top up there. But
it just shows the disparity.
Yeah.
You've seen schools like North Star Christian, CG Finney, and the C's, the B's, and the A's over the years, and now here they got, and you see North Star Christian in the D's in the past too. It's just like totally arbitrary, and here they are dominating this Class D2 on the girls' side. I mean, 2 of the top 3 are private schools where their boys have been classified. So it's not by school size, obviously. It's just arbitrary. I don't like it. Don't think it's fair to, the Andovers or the Lima Christians or the Hammond Sports or Sios or Elbows of the world.
I was going to say, especially the smaller, not to take away from any B school or anything like that, but especially like these smaller schools, right? I mean, it's just not even really fair.
Right.
Talk about, like the talent pool you can kind of pull from, but like, trust me, as somebody who went through Jasper Truesbury this weekend, I mean, like, come on. Like, So
yeah. Yep.
It's just tough.
So there they are.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy to think that in a matter of about 10-ish days, give or take,
we'll have brackets.
We'll have the brackets formally ready to go, and we'll see who has to go where and who has to meet on a neutral court because of the 75-mile rule for their first game.
Yeah,
Crazy.
We'll pick our favorites, obviously, in each bracket, and it's always a fun time of year. It's the February madness before the March madness.
Right. February fever.
February fever, there you go. I like that.
Let's get this thing trademarked.
Patent that.
Yeah. All right, let's do our power rankings. Power rankings are brought to you by Generations Bank. Generations Bank has been serving the financial needs of the Finger Lakes region since 1870. Generations combines the best of modern banking with dedication to our local communities. Whether you're looking for a checking account, CDs, a home improvement loan, you name it, we have what you need. We're committed to serving and giving back to our communities. Visit online at mygenbank.com. Generations Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. So we'll start with the girls' power rankings, and surprise, surprise, Paul Russo at the top.
Well,
unanimous. Back to being unanimous.
It was. So somebody voted for Pelmac last week, and now it's unanimous again. Yeah, I think when you're there that long, Pelmac wouldn't need to beat them again, or they'd have to. Waterloo would have to stumble. Don't see that happening. The next time they play would be postseason. We'll be done with our power rankings by then. So it looks like Waterloo poised to finish the season at number 1.
I really badly want that to be the B1 final. Waterloo and Pelmac. Not to keep going to that well, but that would be a fun one. Flip-flop at 3 and 4. Gananda gets up to 3, and then Lions moves down to 4.
Who would have
After
thought?
last
I
week.
tell you, that's one of the stories of the year on the girls' side. You know, we didn't even haven't gotten not in the top 3 of Wayne County. Now they're 3 in our power rankings.
Speaking of Wayne County, Clyde Savannah rounding out the top 5 as well. So 3 Wayne Counties, 2 Finger Lakes East schools once again in the top 5.
Yeah, and not East Rochester being kicked to the curb there at number 7.
Yeah, behind Dundee, Bradford at 6. Tied at 8, Bloomfield and Mid Lakes. They can't seem to really shake each other the past few power rankings voting. And then Marcus Whitman still rounding out in 10th for the top 10 of the girls' power rankings.
Yeah, I am in my rankings. I think I had Minders in there. I think we're kind of giving them a bum rap because they haven't beaten a team that they haven't won a game against teams that maybe we'd expect them that would be tough for them to beat. You know, the Gananda loss was a big blow, but as you saw when we looked at those B2 standings, they're number 2 in B2, but not even in our power rankings. My ballot had them in this week. So,
Yeah, might be time to reassess a little bit for sure.
but tough to leave any of those other teams out. You know, like Bloomfield, is it?
I mean, and that's the other thing with it too. I mean, if the other teams just kind of keep winning, it's I think tough for.
It is, but they're winning. Yeah, it is because that's the way these rankings work. But I don't think there's anybody in this room that if the Minders girls were playing Bloomfield at Bloomfield, I don't think anybody here would put their money on Bloomfield. Maybe I'm wrong. It's all hypothetical. They're not playing, but
I love a home dog.
but anyways, that's neither here nor there. They didn't make the cut this week. Maybe next week.
Tough scenes, I know, for you, Kyle, with no Byron Burgeon cracking the top 10, but alas. I think their Wayne County tour is up for the year.
Yeah, they've fallen off a bit.
All right, let's take a look at the boys again. Unanimous at number 1 with Lions once again. Paul Mack following at 2 still. Pretty much really the top 6 really remain unchanged there. Actually, and really have to get down to 7th where you kind of see South Seneca kind of take charge a little bit over the other teams, but the boys' side really kind of remaining unchanged positionally speaking for the second week in a row.
I got to ask the same thing here. Looking at Newark, they really got hammered in their power rankings after early on in the season, and we see them there at the top seed in B1 for the boys, and only 4 in our power rankings. And again, I'd love to see Newark and Lions play, but not something that we're gonna see happen. But we will see Newark and Waterloo play, and then I think
Paul Mack and Wayne this week as well.
Newark's got Pal Mack and Wayne this week. Is that what you're saying?
Later on.
Oh, Pal Mack
Paul
and Wayne
Mack
are
and Wayne
playing.
is later on because that's a makeup
But
from last
who
Friday.
does Newark have left on their regular season schedule is my question. Sorry for.
You're good. I know Newark has Waterloo because that's also one of the games we're kind of looking ahead to anyway.
Tonight?
But, yeah.
no.
Thursday? Yeah, Thursday. Thursday's when that game
Nate's
is
on
official.
it. Nate's on it.
Attaboy, Nate.
Waterloo, Mid-Lakes, Penn Dansville. So they do have Wayne one more time at Wayne.
Yeah.
That could have league title implications by the time we get there. But Newark, it shows how important that game is for Newark. Beat Waterloo, then you got to assume they're going to handle
this is the wrong one.
Penn and Dansville. Although no guarantee with Dansville, they are at home. They could have that number 1 seed and B1 locked up by the time they play Wayne. Maybe not the league.
That was girls.
Oh, that was the girls?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
And then I couldn't find my mouse.
We've been hoodwinked, speckled, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived, as my man Stephen A. Smith would say. There we go. Not incredibly off. They got Wayne still.
And
It's very similar. Still got
and
Waterloo,
Penn
too.
Yan.
Yeah, and Waterloo.
So don't get snake bitten by Whitman. I mean, that's no guaranteed win at home against Whitman tomorrow night. And then Thursday, Waterloo at home again. Penn Yan shouldn't be a problem. And then that's a huge game against Wayne. And then away at Eastridge, huh? So, geez, it'll be interesting to look at the sectional standings. They play back-to-back days, too, our 14th and 16th. So after Valentine's Day, be interesting to check out those B1 standings and see if Newark needs that Eastridge game to keep that number 1 seed.
Or if they unfortunately lose, of whatever negative hit they get might send them back.
Well, the
It's
Whitman,
kinda
that's why
crazy.
that Whitman game's
Yeah.
a huge, Whitman's a C1
Yeah,
school,
yeah.
so
I'll
they're
say
put.
A2 is not as big a hit.
No, you're right, but mathematically, it could just come
Right.
down to a win to solidify that one seed.
Yeah.
So.
Crazy to think about, but yeah, I'm kind of with you a little bit there, maybe a little bit in terms of like the positionally. But I do remember that week, that like when they played Wayne that first time. That was a week where he had like Geneva beat like Waterloo and like pretty much had the circle of Finger Lakes East kind of take over there for the week.
It's definitely been a strange season.
Yeah.
I will say that.
But I'd rather have a season like this where we can talk about a bunch of different things.
Yeah,
in
there's
that
been a lot of
sense.
parity, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if how much that's going to help these teams in sectionals. There's just no clear cut outside of Lions favorites this year for sectionals.
Yeah.
But Newark's a team that could prove it by finishing their regular season slate on a winning streak. They would become favorites, in my opinion,
Right.
in B1.
All right, so let's take a look at the week ahead, and that comes to us courtesy of Lil John and Barbie Orthodontics. Dr. Lil John, Dr. Barbie, and their outstanding orthodontic team share a common goal to ensure the overall wellness of each of their patients through their exceptional orthodontic care. Dr. Rod Lil John and Dr. Liz Barbie are proud to support our area high school athletes. You can check out Dr. Rod and Dr. Liz online at liljohnortho.com. So the week ahead, a couple games to highlight here amongst them all. Begin with tomorrow, Tuesday night. Palmac down at Geneva in the Panther Den. We'll kick things off on the Finger Lakes East Trail this week.
Dangerous game for Palmac,
Mhm.
and honestly a big game for Geneva. Geneva's is a B2 school this year, so this is an example of a team atop the B2 standings that they might face. So it's a barometer game. As I said earlier, I don't think Geneva has shown the improvement that I'd hope to see at this point in the season from where they started, but a win against Palmac at home in the Panther Den could go a long way.
Yeah, I love that spot for Geneva. They need sectional points, especially too.
And they got some good chances there. That would also loosen things up in the Finger Lakes East standings as well. Right now it's Palmac and Wayne tied for and then right behind them is Newark and Waterloo. So
And those two games highlight the Thursday slate of things as makeups from last week. Waterloo at Newark and Wayne at Palmac. So
yeah, great
no escape this week.
great Finger Lakes East games this week.
And then on Saturday, a non-league game that's will be part of our FL1 broadcast schedule for the week. Aquinas at Lions up at the community center.
Yep.
So that'll be a pretty good game.
What do you
there.
think of that one, Kyle?
I got Aquinas in this one by double digits.
Really?
Wow.
What do you bet? How come? What are
I
you
just
thinking?
I think like we've kind of talked about before, when Lions actually play someone legit, they're not ready. They kind of just think that like they're just going to cruise to a win, and I think Aquinas is, from what I saw, is playing pretty well, and I think they're going to give him a fight. I'm not saying it's going to be like by 20 points, but let's say maybe by 10 or 11.
Would be a great chance for Lions to get a win against a quality team, which would give them some confidence heading into sectionals and hopefully beyond. Because they're going to have to play teams like that, especially if they get into the the Class C playdown, Far West Regional type of situation that a lot of people are expecting Lions to play this year. But yeah, that is a good game, and there was one heading into that Avoca Prattsburg game, we were like, oh, this is going to be a good test for Lions, and they killed them. So there's an example of one game against what we thought was a quality opponent that they came through, but. Yeah, that's a great game. You don't get many opportunities to see Lions play a real quality opponent.
Maybe I need to put that under my bold prediction of the week. Is that too bold, or
No, I don't think it's bold. Aquinas is a Class A school playing as Lions at C2, so it's a great opportunity for Lions to get that type of marquee win that would give them confidence heading into the postseason.
Yep.
And it's at the community center. Should be a nice crowd. Finger Lakes 1 will be there. 5 o'clock Saturday game, is it?
5 o'clock.
Yep.
I don't know. That'll be interesting. Aquinas sitting 4th right now in Double A.
Double A.
11-5.
But Double A.
Yeah. I don't know. If you're classifying them, Kyle, as a home dog. I love a home dog. So
Well, maybe you guys can have some side action, but for entertainment purposes only.
right, entertainment purposes. All right, let's switch over to the girls' slate of things and kick things off tonight as Clyde Savannah heads to Lions, and we will be there tonight at 7 p.m. on Finger Lakes 1 as well, broadcasting this game. Looking forward to the Route 31 Revival rivalry.
Yeah, I
at
can't
the
wait.
Community Center.
Can't wait to see this one tonight.
And that really kicks off a pretty big week in Wayne County because, I mean, you look at it up
Huge.
there, Ganonda's at East Rochester as well. So certainly, you know, we mentioned right in C1 about how this is a lot to do. Well, it has a lot to do in the league as well this week, especially to get things going.
This is going to
Yeah.
be close, but I'll probably take Lions in this one. You know, the Lions lost to Ganando. Was that Friday night, Thursday night? They did win Saturday, but I think they're going to start heating up again.
And they beat them earlier this year, right? Lions beat Clyde earlier this year, so Clyde will have revenge on their mind, but Lions really needs a win. They've fallen out of the league title. If they lose this game tonight, they're 0% chance they win the Wayne County League. I think they'd be pretty much mathematically eliminated.
I think so, yeah.
I kind of forgot to do a caveat here as well with the schedules for both boys and girls. Don't be surprised if you see even some shifting midweek of games because they have to try and get the ones in from last week, and if they have to push a game a day or something like that, they will do it.
I don't know if they'll move any of these games that are set.
Well, no, I mean, I'm talking, though, like if there's like the non-league. Like, there's a couple non-leagues tonight that they won't get moved necessarily, obviously on short notice like that, but if you look later in the week, for example, and it won't happen, like Notre Dame, Batavia, Waterloo, if a game like that comes up and they have to move, they might move, but certainly could see some shifting. But speaking of Waterloo on Wednesday, Minders at Waterloo, another rivalry game, and we'll be there for that as well at 7:30.
Yeah, let's see. Like I talked about earlier, Minders is 2 seed in B2, and they have not been able to defeat any of the teams at the top of their league. And here comes Waterloo, local crosstown rival, a team that's really took it to them the past few years, and we'll see if they can hang. You know, even if they don't win that game, I think you know, if it is a ball game late, that would be a big confidence boost for Minders. You know, heading into the sectionals as top seed in B2. But Waterloo heavy favorites
For sure.
I would put that line at 18.
All right.
I was going to say Waterloo by 15, so
Yeah.
not too far off.
I have to take the Herb Street route since myself and Nate will be on the call, so.
Well, and I don't
I'll share in the
believe
press box.
I don't believe, you know, it's not a great time to play Waterloo coming
No.
off a loss.
They're going to want to really, especially at this point, right? They're going to want to be rolling and really right to the metal. So, following night, Thursday, Clyde Savannah at East Rochester. So, again, mentioned Wayne County. It's taken center stage early this week to get things going. Then wrapping up the week, highlighting Paul Mac at Minders. So, a bit of a whip-around game there. And
again, another chance for Minders to
Right.
beat a good team. This time they got Pelmac at home. And it's a chance. Waterloo and Pelmac are tied for the league right now, first place.
yeah.
And if everything goes chalk, they'll be co-champs. But Minders could play spoiler here to Pelmac and hand their rival Waterloo another loss or another league outright league title by upsetting Pelmac.
Yeah.
Or they could obviously do the same thing and beat Waterloo and hand it to Pelmac. But I think they got a better chance. They match up a little better with Pelmac than Waterloo.
You think home court makes a little bit of a difference for Minders, Nate, on Friday night? You're at the first game.
Yeah, a little bit. I would just love to see Minders play a little spoiler to their cross-county rivals. You know, go beat Waterloo and see if they can kind of, and then if Pelmac takes care of business against Minders, kind of make their way and kind of really shift that Finger Lakes East dynamic. For the year. That would be pretty cool to see.
They
I
aren't
would
going to
like
win it, but they could certainly
that.
help
They could play
decide
spoiler
it.
for sure. Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
If they beat Waterloo, boy, then all of a sudden
They're definitely back in our power rankings.
Yeah, right. Well, let's
Yeah, that's what they could for sure make some noise for sure.
Yep.
So that's what we're looking at for the week. Again, just to recap, broadcasts for us this week. Tonight, Clyde Savannah at Lions Girls. That's at 7 p.m. Lions Central School District YouTube channel and the radio stream as well. That's at 7 p.m. tonight. Minders at Waterloo Girls, 7:30 on Wednesday night. Waterloo Huddle stream and FO1 radio as well. And then Saturday night, Aquinas at Lions Boys, 5 p.m. Same station as tonight, Lions Central School District YouTube and FO1 radio.
Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed this show and got up to speed. It was like doing your homework, taking a look at all these sectional brackets, because quickly that's where the focus is going to shift in a couple weeks. And as you can see, there's a lot of teams that we're hoping are going to make it to sectional finals and maybe hopefully win a sectional title. And from there, keep playing, hopefully find their way to the Far West Regional and States. So hopefully you feel a little more informed after watching this episode of Upstate Hoops, because I do.
Yeah. And if you copy my homework, I just ask that you kind of change up an answer or two. That's all I ask. Appreciate, as always, our sponsors, the Sano Propane, Generations Bank, and Little John and Barbie Orthodontics for their support. It's going to be an exciting week, so make sure you stay tuned to FingerLakes1.com. The whole week, Kyle's going to bust out those scores every night and give you the stats you need, and going to be an action-packed one. Both sides, obviously, games already scheduled, games being made up. It's going to be hectic. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting.
It's going to be warm, though, so don't got to worry about any snow days this week.
And maybe check out TikTok for some highlights. Maybe another dunk is coming or something.
Yeah, really good. Fat One Sports on TikTok really had some great stuff all for the past couple weeks, whether it's a highlight play, a buzzer beater, a 1,000-point score.
Yeah.
It's really become a must-follow if you like high school basketball here in the Wayne Finger Lakes.
And it's nice that all the schools, show their games on YouTube. Remember, what was it, 4 years ago when you couldn't find games anywhere?
Yeah.
And now you can watch them on YouTube, so that's nice to see that you can go back and grab clips and stuff.
Beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Yep.
So for Nate Sharman, Kyle Evans, Jim Sinicropi, and everybody else here at Finger Lakes One, I'm Paul Russo. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to Upstate Hoops. Catch us live once again, 2 p.m. next Monday. Make sure you stay tuned for our power rankings every Monday morning as well. And until then, have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll talk to you then.